So hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Amesie's Corner. How are you all doing out there? So every once in a while something rolls through the shop here that I didn't think I'd ever get to see. I got a list of cars in my head that I'd love to drive. Third generation RX-7, classic 68 Charger I'd like to see come through here. Maybe another Testarossa, and I'd like to drive some sort of Lamborghini sometime, but I probably won't. You just don't see these cars up here in New England. And one of those cars kind of rolled through that was on my list from when I was very, very young. And that would be the Mitsubishi 3000gt VR-4. And here is one sitting outside. It needs a little love. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to take our usual road test in this car. We'll get this thing up on the lift and you'll see why. Not a major problem, but something that really shouldn't go down the road with. And we'll get this thing up on the lift. But first, let's take a good look at this thing. Yeah, it's also the reason it's out here and not on our brand new asphalt and why it's sitting right here. But look at this, huh? What a time capsule of a car. 108,000 miles. In excellent condition too out here. Here's a little hint of what we're gonna see wrong with this car. Actually needs more of those. Look at this. The actual window sticker for this car. $46,000 car. Danvers Mitsubishi, 800 Andover Street. When this car was on the lot, I was working 2 doors down from this thing. So when this thing was sitting in the lot up in Danvers, when I worked at a Mazda dealer up there in the same road, this thing would have been right on the line. We meet again, 3000 GT. Sorry I don't remember you. But yeah, NK wheels. I'm kind of a purist. I would like to have seen it with stock wheels, but at least they're a decent mid-range wheel. It looks like it's been sitting for a while. I don't know if you guys can see all the dry rot. So this thing has been sitting, well obviously it's been sitting some time to be a 97 with 100 thou on it. But yeah. Oh, this is cool too, right? A sticker. How about that, huh? About the car wash, because the big wing. And there it is. Legendary motor. This thing is legendary status in this car. There's one turbo there, down in, and we're probably not going to be able to see the other one. I can see its heat shield. Not sure what these make for power. Usually I do a little research, get specs and stats on them, but it is what it is. I'm sure we can go to Wiki. Maybe I'll put it down in the description, but man, what a car. Never thought I'd get to see one, never thought I'd get to drive one. And this is also the 6-speed version. You know what? I've always wanted to see what inside the hatch of these look like. Wow, what a clean car. What's this audio upgrade? I thought this subwoofer there maybe. Some sort of toolkit. Oh, CD player. Blast from the past. Rear washer, huh? Wow, guys. Look at all the heat the heat shielding on the hood. Some of this looks like it's been repaired, but I'd imagine there's a lot of heat coming out of this engine, especially when you're on boil. So there is a lot more going on under this car. Let's get this thing up and up on the lift and see what makes this thing tick. Alright guys, there she is on the lift. Now you can see a little, had to put a little diaper on the floor because she's leaking a little red fluid. So on that note, we'll start at the rear of this thing because there's a lot to talk about under here. So first thing we come to on this car that a lot of people may not know is it has four-wheel steering. That there is a steering rack that pushes these control arms, has a rubber mounting thingy here, and deflects the rear wheels so you have a little bit of toe change and you have rear wheel steering. And as anybody that knows these cars that does know that when they have power steering issues, it can get real expensive real quick. We see a whole ton of power steering fluid for the rear steer back here. There's some sort of module, I'm not exactly sure what it is above the rear diff, if that has anything to do with diff operation. I don't know, I just don't know these cars very well. But awesome four-wheel disc, vented disc brakes. Looks like they got some upgrades going on there. I can tell by the finish this car's been sitting for some time. The owner of this car said he had it outside over the winter and a power line fell on it and damaged some of the clear coat on top, but looks like we got some fresh suspension components going on under there. Here we see these rear steering lines. They come down and they're into these aftermarket braided lines. I'm sure the original ones rotted out long ago, and that was just the easiest way to fix it than trying to track down those factory lines. Now, like any typical New England car, it's always hiding something, and there's what this one's hiding. A big bunch of rust on the floors. This outer layer is pretty much gone all the way back. Fixable. I could definitely fix that up, but definitely has to be dealt with pretty quick, or this thing's going to be eaten up like a potato chip. Even back here, you know. Another couple of months, another New England winter, and this thing probably wouldn't be able to be lifted by the pinch welds. You get the big beefy rear drive shaft. I believe these are pretty much all the time four-wheel drive. Got the parking brake on. Nope. Oh, yep. So it feels like that is pretty much always on. Looks like the parking brake is only working on one side. Yeah, always connected. A lot of late model all-wheel drive systems have a slipper clutch either built into the transfer case, the transmission, or the rear diff. This is an actual full-time all-wheel drive. There's no center differential. That's kind of interesting. All the power to all the wheels all the time. I would expect something with all this tech to have a little bit of power biasing ability, but remember, we're talking 1997 here. Looks like we got a little CV joint issue. I think needs a new CV shaft. No big deal. And then we see even more fluid. And right there we see that hose clamp, kind of a quick simple repair and a vain attempt to get this thing to not leak all its power steering fluid out. And that's actually the lines we looked at on the seat, and that's actually what it's here. I'm supposed to replace these lines, however he didn't get enough of them. There's some lines up in that rubber right there. You see that? Once I gotta replace one of those, if I touch that rubber, that other one's gonna go, and I don't have that line here. So that's why we can't take this for a road test today, because I'm not gonna get parts for it. So, well, it is what it is. It looks like each bank has its own turbo. Looks like it only has a single cat. Nope, no, downstream. Yep, Cali emissions means a downstream cat. 6-speed tranny. Wonder who makes this. Is that a Jet Drag or something? I don't know who made the Mitsubishi boxes. McPherson strut front suspension, pretty basic, pretty good. And we see more of that. Those tires. Look at that, huh? So even if I was to drive this thing, I don't know if I'd be able to get on it. Yeah. So Michelin's always seem to dry rot like that. Come on, camera, keep up. Yeah, awesome. Never thought I'd ever get to be able to. I never thought I'd get to be underneath one of these cars. You see how it rotted out. Any of these that didn't spend a lot of time sitting in somebody's garage or in somebody's yard, just rotted out bad up here, rotted out terrible. And that's the problem in New England. A lot of the old cool cars just don't last. Wondering about this exhaust. This factory, anybody know? This looks aftermarket to me. It just doesn't look like something Mitsubishi would have done, but possibly. Anybody know? Like I said, I don't see a lot of these cars around anymore up here. What a cool car, guys. What a car I never thought I'd get to take a ride in. Now, I couldn't take you guys on a road test on video because it's just leaking way too much power steering fluid. I don't want to burn out his pump or nothing. Now, I did take this for a drive yesterday. When it first came in, I knew it had a power steering leak. I didn't know how bad, so I hadn't put it on the lift. I take everything for a test drive before I work on it because, you know, if something's going on, I want to know before I work on the car if there's some critical drive line issue. I want to know if anything I worked on is a noise that wasn't there before. So I checked the power steering fluid, topped it off, and took it out for a ride around the block. And now I looked it up. This car in this trim makes somewhere in the neighborhood of 330 horsepower. Not a bad number at all, but the car weighs over 5,000 pounds, 2.5 tons. That's a heavy car. That technology that it's packed full of adds a lot of weight. So that 300 horsepower, honestly, to me, you know, it's like having that pinup of the fast car next to the hot lady, the hot girl in your room. You never, you know, in the 90s, you'd look at that cool car and you'd look at the picture of the Baywatch Pamela Anderson or whatever in her swimsuit. Now imagine 20 years goes by and you're able to sleep with that hot chick that you lusted over when you were a kid, and you actually get it, you get into bed, you get in there, and then you find out she's horrible in the sack. And that's what this was for me. It's a cool car, but when I drove it yesterday, it felt exactly as fast as the Maxima, the old 80s Maxima. Yeah, I mean, it handles better given the tires that are on the car. It's stiffer, it turns quicker, and you know, you got more grip, you can't deny that. But for a twin turbo V6 with the weight, yeah, the Maxima, I think the Maxima in this car would be pretty evenly matched in a drag race. On a track, even with these crappy tires, this thing would destroy anything like that, any front wheel drive car. So yeah, kind of a disappointment in the power department. The delivery is the usual turbo delivery, kind of a little bit of lag, and then it comes out of it when you get on it a bit and you get the RPMs up. But I mean, I didn't really crank on it. I just gave it a good second gear pull, then a third gear pull, and yeah, well, she's good to look at. She's good to look at. Well, anyways, guys, if I get a chance, if we get those lines in and I get them done and I can take it for a drive, I will take this for a ride, and I will take you guys along, and you guys can see what it's like to bang that chick and you wanted to when you were growing up, and see just as disappointing as I was. But yeah, man, a lot of technology, a lot of cool technology going on in here. A relatively good survivor. If we nip that rust in the bud soon enough, man, you just can't get over. Sorry about that, guys. Wrong hand. And out of there. Yeah, and I just can't get over how well the interior is held up in this car. This thing definitely spent a lot of time in a garage, and probably just as much time sitting on the grass, which is why we have the underneath gone on it. 2 + 2. I mean, I'm not even going to try to get back there. I'm not a very tall guy, but I know I wouldn't want to cram myself in there. But awesome, guys, awesome. Well, I hope you enjoyed this little tour. Sorry I couldn't take you for the drive, but it is what it is. I'm at work and this isn't my baby, and I can't risk burning out that pump to take you guys out there and spew more transmission fluid on the road. I've done enough of that. Well, anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I sure did enjoy making it. Comments down below are much appreciated. Thumbs up are much appreciated as well. On that note, and until next time, guys, keep it out of the cabbage.